Bangladesh government has done a great job for Rohingya community and has been hosting them for 8 years now with a great generosity. Often Myanmar military targets the civilians because they believe that civilians are supporting those armed groups and against Myanmar military itself.
Why the Rohingya are still fleeing to Bangladesh when military is not in control?
Repatriation is all our dream. I want to go home, and the Rohingya refugee wants to go home. Right. So it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. And we have to start that process. We also need to change the root cause. We can do empower through the media and talking to the people, direct dialogue with the Rohingya community like this visit.
This week, Bangladesh held a big international conference in Cox's Bazar. The theme of the conference was Stakeholders Dialogue, Takeaway to the High-Level Conference on Rohingya Situation. And a number of international delegations attended this event. Among them were some Myanmar journalists. They operate from Thailand. And with us today, there are two Myanmar journalists. One is Chay. She is managing editor at Myanmar Now. And the other one is Myat. She is a senior management consultant at the Democratic Voice of Burma. Welcome to this show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much for having
me. So, I'd like to know from you, because it's, I think, a unique visit to Bangladesh for you. We usually don't see Myanmar journalists coming to Bangladesh. So, I'd like to know from you, Chay, that you attended the event, you also visited the Rohingya camp. What was your experience? What is your takeaway?
My takeaway from this conference was that Bangladesh government has done a great job for Rohingya community and has been hosting them for 8 years now with a great generosity. And I think that this high-level conference where a lot of international community, including Rohingya diaspora, were with their presence. I think that this will help Rohingya community somehow when it, especially when there is funding cut to Rohingya situation. So that alone will help Rohingya, I think, and raise more attention from international community. Well, during the visit to refugee camps, it was for us a great opportunity to have a chance to visit there because we would never be able to visit to camp, like that as a Burmese journalist being based in exile without the help of DW. And during that experience, I felt like, it was really bleak situation for Rohingyas to live in such, very poorly conditioned situation. And 8 years just go on without being able to, go back home because their home back in Rakhine State is also going through, violence, and they are often targeted, unfortunately. So, but at least that, being here in the camp, with the help of Bangladesh refugee camps, international community, they still have, a safe home here. But yeah, I think, seeing them living in that, impoverished situation in squalid camps, it makes me sad, yeah.
And coming to you, Mon, what is your feeling after the visit to the camp as well as joining the international conference for 3 days?
Yeah, at the conference, I met a few delegates from the Cox's Bazar refugee camps. They are different ages, like from 88 years old, elderly men to very young Rohingya youth. So it's kind of like, for me, it's first time I met with people, Rohingya refugee from the camp. So it's quite interesting to learn hear their voice of launching their home, and also the situation they are facing and their desire to study, work, and live in dignity, like also very how can I say, missing home, and they are always hoping to go back in a dignified repatriation system. So it's very interesting for me to hear their voice and learn from them about their experience within this year.
So now that you have seen them for the first time, and more than 1 million, I think 1.3 million Rohingya people are now living in Cox's Bazar, and they all fled from Rakhine State of Myanmar, most of them in 2017. Earlier there were around 300,000. Later, over the last 1.5 years, around 200,000 more came here. So as Myanmar citizens, of course you are Myanmar journalists and Myanmar citizens, what do you feel created the situation that they had to flee?
The situation is kind of...
And why it happened? Your understanding and analysis.
Yeah. If you look at the refugees in Cox's Bazar or refugees in Thailand, they face the same situation because of the conflict they face, and they cannot live any longer in that area where there was conflict. So that is why it kind of fighting between different groups, or operation taken by the military regime. So because of that, they cannot live in their place anymore. So that is the main reason they escape. They flee from Myanmar. So nobody wants to leave their home, right? So because of the situation they face, they have to leave the country or their home. And if you look at here, like 8 years of refugees, Rohingya refugees, now more than 1 million. And also in Thailand, if you look at Thailand, there are refugee and migrant workers 6 to 7 million.
Please tell me about the current situation in Myanmar as a whole, as well as in Rakhine State, because after the 2021 military coup, there has been a lot of conflicts all across the country. Many ethnic groups are fighting.
Yeah. So as you're aware about the war in Myanmar since 2021 coup, Rakhine, including the rest of the country, is facing similar fate. And that is about, violence, conflict between ethnic armed groups and also people, defense forces, and against, Myanmar military. And with that war, there is ongoing, brutal violences, often targeted at, people by the Myanmar military. And many people all over the country are fleeing, chaotically. Chaotically, they are fleeing their homes from village to village, and they're often caught up in war, fleeing one village after another. So they also don't have a safe home, although they are still inside the country. They are fleeing home. Myanmar is not safe, ultimately because of war. And often Myanmar military targets the civilians because they believe that civilians are supporting those armed groups and against Myanmar military itself. So when the military becomes the entity that the population, general populations are against, they wage war against the people. So and the whole country throughout those 5 years since 2021 military coup, everyone, regardless of where you live, even in the city, they don't feel safe because military is targeting the people itself. Why
the Rohingya are still, fleeing to Bangladesh when military is not controlling the state?
In conflict situations, civilians are always targeted or, scapegoat between two different competing forces. So both Rakhines and also Rohingya people are targeted as of forced conscription by different militaries, AA or the militaries, Myanmar military as well. So that is why when they are forced to work for the military force to fight, and then they are between the fighting and also conflict area. So they're just, how can I say, trapped in that situation, conflict situation. And that is why they also escape. Many of the civilians living in the conflict area also had to flee from that country. You can look at also, if you look at, even in central part of Myanmar, there are airstrike every day. you know. So like recently, at the 1st August, the military regime declared the end of state of emergency. And on the same day, they also announced 63 townships controlled by the resistant areas, martial law. Since they declare martial law on that area, they do every airstrike every day. So we are reading news about, you know, people are dying, civilians are dying because of that every single day. So that is happening not only in Rakhine State, everywhere. Rakhine, Kachin, Karen, also central part of Myanmar, Sakai, Makwe, everywhere.
How are they, you know, surviving, the people in Rakhine now?
It's also because the Bangladesh government, we have to thank Bangladesh government because they opened the trade roads between the Bangladesh and Rakhine State until now. So that is why. But the military regime blocked the trade road from, you know, the area they control to the AA control area. So they don't allow any goods and foods from that area to AA control area. So that is why people, you know, face the main problem in many areas in Rakhine State. But good thing is that they can get some foods and goods from the Bangladesh so that they can survive in that way. Can you please add
And
on that?
and we know that, you know, National Unity Government, which is the government of the Suki led, you know, the civilian government, part of that is also in exile. And we know that NUG initially in their documents said that they would recognize the Rohingya as an ethnic group, and they will make it more inclusive, federal democratic government in Myanmar. So what is the status now? Because we don't hear much about what NUG is doing.
So NUG, National Unity Government, is located somewhere we don't know, right? It's exile, it's in shadow government. So like, and when it comes to practicality, you know, and you know, getting help from the government itself, like it's sort of like imaginary government that we are hoping for, and that is the truth. And so like, although they say they will help this group and that group, but then like practically it's hard for them because they're also relying on international aid, right? International community. With that, the international community help, you know, that National Unity Government, although, you know, they claim themselves government, they can't do much, you know, because they are self-exiled government. So that is undisputed fact, you know. So and with that status, you know, NUG cannot help as much as you know they desire to help.
But they have their force, like the People's Democratic Force, which is the armed wing of NUG, which is actually on the field, on the ground.
Yeah.
So how are they performing? What are they doing?
So, you know, although they say that certain PDF, we call it PDF, easy form.
Right.
In long form, it's called People Defense Forces, and some of them are under NUG, some of them are not under NUG. So like they have different way of communication, different way of chain of command, and some follow NUG rules, some follow don't, although they themselves call PDF. And you know, like when your own government is in exile, you know, operating from exile, and you know, a group of these people fighting against military to get democracy. Well, like sometimes there seems to be sort of like, you know, power gap. You know, only the PDF are operating on the ground, you know, helping the people when it comes to need. They are helping, but then NUG doesn't seem to be as much on the ground as PDF. But we've seen that, you know, NUG defense minister are visiting to their you know, claimed area, but largely it's PDF that are helping. But then again, like, you know, PDF is trying to control their already captured areas, but they're also going through daily airstrikes by powerful military that can use, you know, much better and sophisticated weapons like you know, artillery challenge and you know, airplanes, you know, warplanes.
But the PDF has a sort of collaboration with the ethnic groups.
Yes, there is a close collaboration between each other, and with that collaboration, collaboration, they have taken certain parts of Myanmar. For example, like we have to say recently that this group of armed group called TNLA, Tao National Liberation Group, with the help of PDF and Mandalay region, they have taken this ruby town called Mogo, and there is such collaboration between each other. Yeah.
And also NUG government, it's sort of representing some majority of people because they were supported by many people from Myanmar. So they got a lot of, they can raise funding from people from Myanmar as well. So with that funding, they also allocate that funding to the, at this arms revolutionary control area, and also some area they can run the schools with the school teachers, like involved in civil disobedience movement, and also like with the doctors and nurses, they run the hospital, makeshift hospital, clinic, and they provide some healthcare service to the IDP, internally displaced people, and refugees, so that they're trying to do as much as they can with the limited resource.
So what is the level of influence that the NUG has on the whole Myanmar?
If you say level of influence, I mean, I can say that in some area controlled by the PDF, also influenced by the NUG government, but some area, ethnic arm control area, that is totally controlled by the kind of ethnic groups. For example, like in Rakhine State, they have their interim governments. So they are studying administration system, local governance system, but on their own, with the help of help of NUG. Yeah.
So what is the future of Myanmar? I mean, is it going to split? Is it something like that? Because different ethnic groups and territories, rebel groups are fighting against each other and against the military. There's a fear like that.
Well, the truth is, I don't think that it's gonna split up like a organization, because although there is fighting going on, like I don't think that any of those armed groups are trying to split up from the country. It's gonna cost us, a leg and arm, right? A huge cost. But it's more about demanding greater autonomy for their own people, for their own race, for their own region, because like those people fighting against military have been deprived, with the resources, with the power, with the needs that they needed. And that happens to be minority groups, and central government happens to be the majority Burmese people. So like those ethnic groups fighting against this dictatorship, it's just demanding, greater autonomy, not for splitting up, from the country. Yeah. So, and it's not going to happen.
Okay. So, but we also know that different global powers have different interests in Myanmar. As Myanmar is a hugely resourceful country, geostrategically important an area. So, how does that play into the Myanmar politics?
Of course, because geopolitically important and also resource-rich country. So Myanmar is between superpower countries like Bangladesh, China, and India, and also like U.S. also interest in Myanmar resource as well. Also China, of course. So that make resource crisis in Myanmar until today. But that is one of the things that lasts conflict long until today, and also that also can be a kind of cut for the some ethnic armed groups as well. Using their resource in their region, they can build relationship with the neighboring country. So these are the kind of thing, trying to balance power, use power, rule the area. So that is a game between.
I mean, against this backdrop, like you are journalists definitely, but you are also the citizens of Myanmar. So how do you foresee the future? How the stability is going to come in that country?
It's really tough questions. There's no easy answer, I think. It looks like this war is going to go on for quite some time because, nobody is building, nobody is backing out from this war. Everyone is trying to capture this and that part of, of their states. And again, military is not gonna, let it go just like it, So this is gonna go on for quite some times. And without the help of, say international intervention, meaning that, say ASEAN countries, ASEAN, come out with a approach, with a solution, then there might be solution. But at the moment, even then, it doesn't look like ASEAN can help like that. So I don't know, it looks like we're stuck for the moment, yeah.
For Bangladesh, the main issue is repatriation of the Rohingya, because it's a huge population and Bangladesh is a hugely populated country, resource-constrained country. How can this repatriation happen given the realities that are there in Rakhine State and as well as in Myanmar?
Repatriation is all our dream. I want to go home, and the Rohingya refugee wants to go home. Right. So it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. And we have to start that process. We also need to change the root cause, solve the problem, the root cause. And also we need to change the political system. What
are you describing as the root cause?
Root cause is we need to change the political system. Right now we are facing this mm-hmm. military authoritarianism. Then people want its kind of federal democracy union, mm-hmm. federal democracy system, so that we have to bail up that system mm-hmm. to get a better future.
When the Rohingya crisis happened in 2017, it was the Suji-led democratic government, but even despite that, the crisis happened. So, you are talking about the federal democratic system.
Democracy is kind of like opening Pandora box. You need to control. Under the Aung San Suu Kyi time, Aung San Suu Kyi it's not 100% control of the country.
Okay. The military was in control
of the armed forces. Okay. So that's the thing. The key thing is military is in control. That is why they can do whatever they want, and they can even stage coup after the 2020 election as well. So right now is the arms groups, like a military regime, is using the might is right power to control the country, to get back to the authoritarian states. But at the same time, people want this federal democracy, and also even the limited democracy period, like window period, we experienced between 2015 and 2020. We want to get that kind of freedom at that time. So we will go back. We will try to get this kind of the country we want to be. So that's what we are trying for. All the ethnic people and also Burma majority also trying to get rid of the military rule to get a better system. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing.
And Suche, what do you think that how the international community, the regional countries, including Bangladesh, India, China, can help, or what do you expect from these countries and other international community members?
So far, I don't know if we can expect anything from those neighboring regional countries, because we've been in war for 5 years now, and they haven't done anything for the country, and all we've seen is supporting Myanmar military that is killing the people. And if we're calling for international community to support people in the resistance group, and they often say we don't meddle with other people's country's affair. So with that type of lack of support, that has been the case over the past years. So I don't know that we can expect anything. But unless they want to change, and they want to help us, because this neighboring country, Myanmar, although we have so much rich resources, but then we are fighting against each other, and they are also impacted by it with refugees and other type of stuff, right? I mean, this actually is this should be a huge issues for them as well, because with the war on the doorstep, they shouldn't look away, they shouldn't look away as if it doesn't concern them. But what they're doing over the years is it doesn't concern them as much. They don't need to meddle with the Myanmar politics. And actually, they should come up with proactive solutions to help Myanmar people, and for the country itself, so that they can also prosper and then benefit from peaceful neighbor. Yeah.
At people's level, track 2 diplomacy, what can happen? What is your suggestion or expectation?
I think people to people level, first step we have to do is we have to build mutual understanding between two communities. Like in Bangladesh, host community, between host community and also Rohingya community. And also in Myanmar, host community, Rakhine and the Rohingya community. So that is the first step we have to do. Okay. That will be the best.
How can that happen?
Because through the media, we can do empower through the media and talking to the people, direct dialogue with the Rohingya community. Like this visit, we went to the camp and we try to meet different people from the camps. Okay. And that's the only way we can start. And also education. We can start this kind of dialogue from the education, from the classroom. So these are the 3 areas I find it to start the first step: media, education, and dialogue.
I think media plays a huge role in order to bridge the gap between two countries, because although we are very close neighbor, but we don't know each other at all. All we know is that, with the preconceived perception, this Bangladesh on the next door with a a huge Muslim population are bad people, terrorists. Meanwhile, Burmese Buddhist nation with the majority Buddhist people are nationalists, killing Muslim people. So that actually we both have two sort of extreme level of understanding against each other. That is true to some degree, but not 100% true. But then and the politics between two countries plays out again, on that view, and we have to change that perspective, and media play huge roles in that. And in order to bridge the gap, to get closer to each other, understand each other, be a good neighbor and be helpful to each other, we have to educate people, and we have to talk, we have to do dialogue between each other, and with that I think we can bridge the gap as close as possible, and then bring benefits to each other. Yeah, that's the only way forward, I think.
Fantastic. As we speak with each other, we'll one day be able to overcome the crisis, and the Rohingya people who are now living here as refugees can return home.